Hi and welcome back. In this episode I'm going to construct the walls. Timber we're going to be using is 2x5 treated, graded at C16. To put them together we're going to use 2.8 by 90mm nails in a nail gun, and also going to use some screws which are going to be 5 by 100mm screws, and we use the impact gun to put them in. I'm only using the screws where the timber is a bit twisted and needs pulling in, because the nails won't do that, but then after we put the screw in and pulled it in, put a couple of nails in as well. Now first I'm going to make the sides using 400mm centre spacings. Now unless your room is exactly dividable by 400mm, at some point you are going to have a smaller gap. Now we take this diagram as a view from the side. You've got the stud wall, and then you've got the pitch of the roof above it, which obviously causes a bit of a problem or a bit of a gap. Now to overcome this, there's an easy way and a hard way to deal with it. From what I've researched, the hard way is to cut each upright to the exact height of the roof, as you can see on this diagram. This will also mean you'll have to cut each upright at the top at an angle. This can be tricky to get right and very time consuming, so I chose the easy method, which involves attaching wood to the top of the wall plate. I will cover this more in a later video. So the height I need to build the stud sidewall is the height of the lowest part of the roof, in my case and probably most cases the rear. Once the frames are made up, I use 11mm OSB sheets to clad the frame in. I only had to cut the length down to match the height of the frame. The sheets fell on the uprights on the width. I had to take into account I would be attaching a second wall plate at the top to add strength and use it to attach each side together. So if you imagine this as a return wall with the OSB clad on it, you can see how far the second wall plate has to go over. It needs to stop just where the OSB sheet would start. Now when attaching the OSB sheet to this stud wall, it's going to want to overlap again like the second wall plate, but also just a bit further so it goes past the OSB, which is indicated here. So it'll be the 5x2 plus the OSB that wants to overlap, and that'll be the same on both ends. Before attaching the OSB sheets with a nail gun with 2.8 by 50mm ring nails, I use the square edge or the machined edge of the OSB boards on the edges of the stud frame to get it all squared up. To help me do this, I put some spare offcuts of wood around the frame, as you can see on the picture, just to get it all levelled up. Once the first sheet was attached, I used 3mm spacers between each board, as you can see on the video, just to help with any expansion in the future. Again, before fixing each board, I made sure that the tops and the bottoms were lining up with the frame, making sure it was all square. Once both the sides were made up, I made the rear wall up. I actually made this up in two sections, or I made the frame up in two sections, and then clad over it. You can just see where there's a double 5x2 in the middle. So I got one of the side studs up first, and then use a spirit level and then the piece of wood you can see in the picture here, just to brace it once I got it level, and also just put some nails, 90mm nails into the base. Now you can see if I zoom in on this picture, I let the OSB overhang the stud walls, if I believe by about 3 inches or about 100mm, and this allowed me to pull it in against the base, so I got it nice and flush. So once the OSB board was on the rear stud frame, it took a few of us to sort of tilt it up into position at the back, and then once we got it in place, I just put some 90mm nails through into the base, and then used a piece of 2x5 to get it levelled up and hold it in place. And also, just to help out handling it, I put some just bits of wood across the studs as like handles to pull it in. In the corners, this is where I let the second wall plate from the back run onto the first wall plate of the side, to allow me to clamp them together and put some screws through them. Now the front wall is going to be a bit different, because obviously you're going to have I don't know, sliding doors, bifolding doors, so you're going to need to obviously have a space for them and also reduce the height of the wall either side for the lintels to go across. Now in my case, we're just using like French sliding doors. So the lintel I used, which I'll show you in the next video, was like a wooden composite type lintel I made up. I didn't use any steel, which you'll see quite often. You're also going to want to double up the uprights either side of the door, just to give it an extra bit of support. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you on them, and I hope to see you next time.